ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਡੇਵਿਡ ਸੁਜ਼ੂਕੀ ਫਾਊਂਡੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੋਂ ਹਾਈਡੀ ਹਡਸਨ ਨਾਲ। ਇਹ ਜੋ ਇਹ ਸੰਸਥਾ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਖ ਉਦੇਸ਼ ਹੈ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰਨਾ এনवायरमेंट ਪ੍ਰਤੀ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੈਚੁਰਲ ਰਿਸੋਰਸਿਸ ਦੀ ਸਹੀ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਸਕੀਏ। Let's welcome Heidi to the program and ask from her that what does she do and how the people should be involved in creating awareness and how they have a voice in having a better environment. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Harpreet. It's great
Thank
to be
you.
here.
So let's talk a little bit about what's the kind of threat we are today facing to our wetlands and natural resources.
Oh, today the threat we are facing that I'm working on quite a bit is development, and probably developing over wetlands. We've lost about 70% of our wetlands.
70%?
Yeah, in Canada. In Canada, yeah.
So what impact is that having?
Wetlands absorb a lot of carbon dioxide.
Right.
They absorb stormwater, so they provide flood protection.
Right.
And they also filter our water naturally. And so when we lose those natural resources, then we actually have to pay for it as a community financially.
Okay.
And so we suffer more floods, and then we pay for flood damage, and it's a cycle that isn't the best cycle.
So Heidi, you are involved in this project called Natural Capital. What is this, and in this particular project, what are you focusing upon?
We're focusing on educating the public that nature provides a service, and that it isn't free. So if we do, say, pave over a wetland, or we develop over a watershed, then we're taking away our natural services that nature provides. And what we do is try and educate the public, like, if you are going to develop, please don't develop over a wetland. Maybe move to the side a bit and appreciate the wetland, and understand that it is going to provide flood protection and filter your water for free. And if we don't have that free service, then we will ultimately pay for it in building a water filtration plant, or we will pay for it in flood damage. And so what we've been doing is educating municipalities in terms of perhaps policy change, or educating urban developers to understand that it's okay to develop in some areas, but some areas it doesn't work out very well.
So like you said, 70% of the wetlands, we have just finished those off, and it's a serious thing. How is the government is it thinking on those grounds whereby to come up with some policies by which there's a stoppage to all this what's happening, or still we are in our deep slumber?
Luckily, the government is becoming aware through wanting to change for the better, and reaching out to the public to understand better, and the public actually being aware to reach back to the government and letting them know the details that they need to know in terms of policy change. So it hasn't been an easy, quick road, but it's a road that's on the way, luckily. And they listen to the public. They've been listening to us and NGOs for a long time, saying wetlands are important, and we have to be able to let the public know, yes, we are ready to provide this information, and let the government know that we are ready to provide this information and provide a solution. And with that, they do try and
so there's some kind of thinking going around,
just starting
off. Okay, what about the public at large? Like while you're advocating with the governments that this needs to be looked into, what about the public? Are they aware of what is happening to our wetlands and other natural resources, and how can they be a part of this movement whereby they can raise their voice?
Good question. The public, I don't find the general public, I don't think they are aware of.
They don't know, probably,
and because it can be very sciencey, and it has to do with economics, which is also a science. So what they can do is watch a show like yours, and interview people like us who are concerned about the wetlands and the environment, and be curious about the environment. If there's a petition going around to save a wetland, sign the petition.
So and if they're more proactive, that's what you are saying. But like you said about the wetlands, the kind of impact it is having, but alongside, the ecosystem also gets affected by this. So has some research being done according by the David Suzuki Foundation or any other organization whereby whatever impact it is having ecologically, otherwise it is having some other impact also?
It does have a big impact. We know trees, generally the public is quite aware that trees absorb a lot of carbon dioxide, which saves from greenhouse gases going up and then bouncing back down into the earth and heating it. And what's interesting to learn that the public, I find, isn't generally aware of right now is that wetlands do the same thing. And it's a very big, what we call carbon sink, and it absorbs a lot of carbon dioxide as well. So it's such a rich resource for us. We're starting to work on statistics in terms of educating people in ways that make sense to the general public and to me. So what would one wetland be the equivalent to? It could be the equivalent to 500,000 cars on the road per month. In terms of the absorption that it will, the service that it provides in absorbing carbon dioxide.
Oh yeah, absolutely, you're right, because for a layman, that scientific language which you speak, nobody understands. But when it is in a layman's language, they can react and understand what's the complexity of what is happening. On the other hand, wetlands is a major resource, as you said, but what about our rivers and other resources which we have? They're also getting affected, and global warming, we have been talking about, that's having an impact. So is this project of yours, Natural Capital, looking into these aspects also?
Yes, it is. It's looking at coastlines, wetlands, freshwater lakes. Right now we're working on the aquatic valuation of aquatics.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does. So we are looking at that in every aspect. Yeah.
And so towards the end, you find that there's a threat to our coastlines and rivers and other resources also?
We do find that there is a threat, and there is a cost to the public, a cost that isn't generally known, and that's a financial cost as well as a health cost.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do is quantify that threat economically. We are trying to educate the public in that area too.
Great. Heidi, thank you very much for raising up this important issue. We need to talk more and more about these issues so that our public becomes aware of these, and then they can push upon their thoughts upon the politicians whom we elect and send them, so that they also raise these voices, because ultimately that's going to have an impact on our coming generations. Thank you very much for your time.